Have you ever been in love? You found the most beautiful one to cherish, your other half, your person in life. And it all started when you were childhood best friends. She always had a way about her. You walked home together every day after school, went to each other's houses, and were constantly involved with each other's families. When you were in high school, you finally confessed your true feelings towards her. She expressed she had felt the same way all along, and you both fell madly in love.
Everyone thought you were meant for each other, always holding hands and being able to openly express your love. When you went to college, you had the support from your parents and her parents to finally propose and spend the rest of your life together. You got engaged and celebrated with friends and family. You both were happy together and everyone was happy for you. Now imagine if you and your soon-to-be wife were both women. Notice how the scenario changes?
No one could actually know the truth behind your romance, or else you may be subjected to being stoned, abused, even murdered. You would not be able to share the same support from those around you, or even be able to go out in public together. You will never be able to have an open and public marriage together without the threat of your life being taken. Being openly gay under a strictly oppressive government is not an option for this new scenario. The first scenario has never been a feasible reality for those a part of the LGBTQ community in Afghanistan.
After the resurrection of the Taliban regime seizing Afghanistan in 2021, there has been an execution of interpretation of Sharia law. Written within the Quran and the Hadith, Muslims use both Islamic texts that establish rules for them to abide by that would classify them as Muslim. The Quran as well as the Hadith are both central texts that are used to recite prayer within Islam. A religious form of law that is implemented in Islam is known as Sharia law, which is according to both texts. An example of Sharia law can be seen in the practice of praying, fasting, or giving to the poor. Many people have different perspectives on what they practice or believe according to Sharia law. This poses the question of how strict one can be with interpretation. Sharia law can be categorized within stricter terms and looser boundaries, and is how the Taliban are continually determined to rule. Now, who is the Taliban and why are they important? According to Wall Street journals, the Taliban can be defined as a Pashtun organization that rose from the Mujahideen, or guerrilla fighters, that are currently in power of Afghanistan's government. Pashtun refers to an ethnic group that primarily makes up Afghanistan's upperclassmen. They are Sunni Muslims. The group itself rose in the 90s as a resistance to the Soviet-backed government at the time. They started their uprise as they gained more populace and continued conflict with other Mujahideen groups. They began to seize land and continued their uprise in their goal of establishing strict Islamic law. As the Taliban gained government power and influence, they've endangered the citizens of Afghanistan by lacking the input of humanitarian rights within their rule. This brings the current issues of oppression the people of Afghanistan face, as well as the inequality, ethnic cleansing, homophobia, and sexism as the U.S. withdrew out of Afghanistan.
According to the Taliban's interpretations of the Quran, being LGBTQ could eventually be punished by death. Reported from U.S. News, it is currently implemented by stoning or physically attacking the members of the community. LGBTQ members in Afghanistan are currently in hiding from the fear of being killed or raped by the Taliban or their peers. An anonymous gay man that had previously advocated for LGBTQ rights now states, "Journalists, women's rights activists, or those who worked with foreigners, they were removed, but nothing has been done for us. We will definitely be killed. We are asking to be evacuated immediately from Afghanistan. With the withdrawal of American troops, LGBTQ individuals are left with no resources to fight for their rights on their own."
The Taliban has started to track down members of the community by phone lines in order to implement their extremist interpretations of the Sharia law. This resulted in hundreds of hiding LGBTQ members to lose contact with their family members. Some told CNN they refused to answer local phone numbers for fear that the Taliban have tracked them down. Even if the Quran states that LGBTQ people are frowned upon, there is no place in the holy text that accounts for their beating or death. The Taliban twists their beliefs with the Quran, making it seem justifiable to take actions against homosexual civilians by abusing them. There is no clear evidence that same-sex relationships are a sin in the Quran, as it has no central governing authority, so it is up to cultural belief.
A prime movement to implementing their extremism can be seen when the government in Afghanistan passed a law that criminalized homosexuality and same-sex relations in 2018. This law was used to set the benchmark of their agenda. More and more victims would be stoned and antagonized because of their sexual orientation.
Recorded on Council Foreign Relations, Ali is one of the 60 LGBTQ Afghans interviewed by 2 human rights groups from October to December 2021 under full or semi-anonymity due to the fears of targeting by the Taliban. These victims were reported to having a previous good life before the Taliban regime where they could openly advocate for LGBTQ and even women's rights. They have been stripped of this freedom, reported to staying in their basements or secluded spaces where no one could question them. Some even cut off ties to families in order to maintain their own survival. Overall, the day-to-day life of living alone and underground has been degrading. No one can know about their sexual orientation or their lives may be threatened.
According to a DW article, Khalid, an LGBTQ victim of the Taliban, shares a story about when he decided to go outside for the first time in a long time. Unfortunately, he was attacked for merely walking in a feminine manner. He hit me on my right shoulder. It hurt a lot. My eyes were full of tears, he said. And after being hit, the persecutor replied, "Why are you walking so feminine? Do you know how to walk?" Which proves that the simple act of expression could be interpreted as being gay and will land you straight into trouble. Based on the Quran, one may say that same-sex relations aren't accepted within the Islamic community. It classified the Taliban's actions as a strict execution of Sharia law. The Taliban itself claims to execute the exact beliefs written in the Quran. However, nowhere in the Quran does it say LGBTQ people shall be executed or brutally beaten for who they are.
Based on the Quran, one may say that same-sex relations aren't accepted within the Islamic community and classify the Taliban's actions as a strict execution of Sharia law. The Taliban itself claims to execute the exact beliefs written in the Quran. However, nowhere in the Quran does it say that LGBTQ people should be executed or brutally beaten for who they are. According to the Christian Science Monitor, which should be unbiased towards this topic as the Christian Bible does not support homosexuality and yet does not execute homosexuals because of their sexuality, quote, "There is no prescribed execution for homosexuality in the Quran or in Islamic law. Instead, scholars say, the Quran implies that the retribution is in the hands of God. Even if the Quran states that LGBTQ people are frowned upon, there is no place in the holy text that accounts for their beating or death. The Taliban twist their beliefs into the Quran, making it seem justifiable to take action towards gay civilians and abusing them."
The Taliban's agenda as a whole would prove that the treatment of LGBTQ citizens would not be encouraged within the Quran. Outside of the holy text, LGBTQ people are not the only minority that the Taliban abuses. According to the Morning Call, these targeted killings are proof that ethnic and religious minorities remain at particular risk under the Taliban rule in Afghanistan. The Hazara ethnic minority is also being targeted as a result of the Taliban's rule. There is no point in the holy text where ethnic cleansing is supported, yet they are targeted as well. This proves that the extremist agenda is not actually effectively carrying out the beliefs written in the Quran. There is no point in the holy text where ethnic cleansing is supported, nonetheless punishment by death for homosexuality. This proves that there is no evidence from the Quran that encourages physically abusing or killing LGBTQ people, but merely the Taliban's extremist interpretation in order to push their agenda. It is important to educate people about how LGBTQ minorities in Afghanistan are being abused by the Taliban because they aren't able to advocate for their own human rights while facing the threat of being found and killed. This is important because they are only a select group out of the many that face the threat of being brutally murdered for exercising freedom of speech and identity. With a country that lacks basic human rights, more people will die due to the extremist regime that will not accept certain freedoms or behaviors. The abuse in Afghanistan has taken many lives of innocent people just for being gay. Not only have people died, but people suffer every day because of said abuse and violence. People are shunned, disowned, kicked out, and brutally beaten just for their sexuality. So what did we do about this? We went to the streets to pass out 300 hearts that would lead people to our card website, discussing what actions you can take as someone outside of Afghanistan. For this, we created a poster that had the Afghanistan flag saying, "Take a heart to help Afghanistan." We had printed hearts, colors of the rainbow, as well as made sure to include the resources that would be on our card website and actions to help people who may be in Afghanistan as an LGBTQ member. Sharing the hashtag and sharing this video will help our post reach more viewers and spread awareness about this topic. To do so, you can access this QR code and link in our bio that can lead you to this card website that has all our resources in one. Sharing this video will help reach more people to get involved outside of Afghanistan, which will aid in this cause. Within our card website, we linked our Instagram that helps spread awareness and talks about these resources on another social media platform. This will help involve more people in the cause, as spreading awareness can be done on multi-platforms. The most direct way that one can go about this issue is actually clicking the GoFundMe link and being able to share it, if not donate. The GoFundMe discusses where the money goes and how it aids people in Afghanistan, as they have a team that is in Afghanistan. One of the most prominent ways one can get involved and use their voice in this issue is by petitioning to the government, as we linked a U.S. contact link in our card website.